My name is Bob Parsons. I'm a professor in civil, environmental, and architectural engineering, and also I work on special projects for the School of Engineering. And this is a very special project, the Career Accelerator Lecture Series, which has been going on since last fall. We are very pleased to have Susan Lyman with us today of Garmin International that will be here to share her thoughts on what makes great leaders. If you haven't been with us before, the way this works is that Susan will present for a half hour to 45 minutes. And then at the end of that time, we'll have a series of questions. And you are, your participation is invited. This is intended to be a two-way kind of conversation. So the way that happens is please use the chat, submit your questions. Those will be coming in and I'll be collecting those as we go through. And then when Susan's done with her presentation, then I'll ask those questions, but and we'll get her reaction to those things that you're interested in. So with that, that's how it's going to go. Let me just introduce Susan. She received a BS degree in electrical engineering from KU in 1987. She brings a wide variety of experience from diverse industries. She joined Garmin after 10 years in engineering and technical sales with Allied Signal Aerospace, which is a manufacturer of non-nuclear parts for nuclear weapons systems, followed by BHA Group, a manufacturer and marketer of industrial pollution equipment, where she served the carbon black segment. She is currently Vice President of Global Consumer Marketing for Garmin International, where she's responsible for its global marketing efforts for all consumer markets: marine, automotive, outdoor, fitness, and wellness, which accounts for over 50 products annually. And I believe you said more than that just a few minutes ago. She manages a team of over 60 associates in the US and many other associates in Garmin's dozens of offices around the world. And she is currently chair of the Olathe Chamber of Commerce. And we're very proud of her as one of our graduates and excited to have her back and share her thoughts with us. And so with that, Susan, please take it away.
Great. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. Thanks to everybody for joining me today this afternoon. And also thanks for the KU School of Engineering and the Dean's Advisory Boards for setting up the lecture series. I think it's just great. So I'm just going to jump right in here. Make sure you can see my presentation. All right, so Bob just said it pretty much all, but I'm Susan Lyman. I'm currently the Vice President of Global Consumer Marketing at Garmin, and we are headquartered in Olathe, Kansas. Just to kind of walk you through what I plan to talk about today, just a quick intro to explain a little bit about myself and my sort of unique career path from electrical engineer to my current position. I'm going to touch on a Garmin overview of where I work, and that's really not just to sell you on how great our products are so that you buy them, but also just to, not specifically for that reason, but just to let you know my current, just the current workspace that I'm in, just to kind of enlighten you on what goes on in a corporation like Garmin. Also, just really because I know as engineering students, it's very difficult with so many hours required for your degree. It's very difficult to fit in additional business classes just to learn more about business. So I want to touch on Garmin as an example, just so that you can see where I have formed my thought leadership on business practices and becoming a leader. I'm going to touch on product is everything, which is very important to engineers to understand and to know. And then marketing and advertising, just so you get a glimpse into kind of my world right now and understand how this all ties together. And then really the crux of it all is becoming a leader. And I really feel like communication is the key to becoming a good leader. And then I'm just going to end on letting you know about our intern program that we have at Garmin. So I'm going to jump right in. I grew up in Olathe and graduated from Olathe South. And then really just I liked physics and calculus, math, all kinds of math and science. And my grandpa is an electrical engineer. And so I learned about that profession and decided that KU was the right place for me. So started right away going to KU to pursue electrical engineering degree. I call this embrace the unexpected because when I graduated from engineering with an engineering degree. I did not plan on being in marketing. I had never taken a business class. I certainly had never taken a marketing class. I didn't know anything about marketing. So I didn't set out on day one to become a marketing person. What I did do was when I graduated, I became a design engineer, and I used the things that I had learned from my professors, like Professor Frost, and some of you might remember Professor Talley. Not the students, but maybe the professors do. But I'm dating myself. But anyway, graduated and really for 5 years, completely entrenched in engineering and used what I had just learned in college in my job and really enjoyed it. But as projects came to me, I became sort of that group leader that was chosen to present on the status of the project that we were working on to large groups of people. And so mainly in the Department of Energy. So I would present to our leaders in the military on the status of the project and things like that. And so even though my title was an engineer, I was kind of transitioning into more of a communication role in addition to the engineering I was doing. So that led me to pursue a different job at a company called BHA. And in that role, I was a sales engineer. So still in engineering, but used technical expertise to sell big systems that were pretty complex. And so still using my electrical engineering, but maybe a little bit less. And I found in that role that I absolutely loved being a commission salesperson. So the harder I worked and the better I performed, the more money I made, which was like getting an A. And I loved being a student. So it was really fun. It was kind of like, instead of getting the A on a grade card, you got the commission check. So I loved that job and had no intention of ever leaving. And about that time, a tiny little startup company started, and they contacted me, and that was Garmin. And they contacted me mainly because of my engineering background, and then I was currently, being pretty successful as a salesperson. And so I interviewed and with the two founders, Gary and Min. That's how we get our company name. And I really like to tell this story, especially to students, because the reason why I was finally offered the job, it was twofold. One was that I had a good grade point average in engineering. And I thought that was kind of funny that after being out of college for 10 years, that my grade point average in engineering still was that important 10 years later, to the point where even after I was hired, Min Kao, one of our founders, would actually introduce me in the building as he walked around or to our customers and actually say my grade point average in electrical engineering at KU. So I just thought that was so funny. You kind of think that once you graduate and you get your first job, your GPA doesn't matter anymore, but I'm telling you, it does. So sort of first lesson that your GPA does matter. And then secondly, I was extended the offer because Gary Burrell, our other founder, learned that I went to high school with his son, John. And in high school, I helped John with his physics homework. And John told his dad that the only reason why he passed physics was because I helped him, and that how kind I had been to him. So that's the second lesson that I like to share. Just be kind to everyone, because one thing you never know. I did not know what John's dad was going to end up founding for sure, but yeah, be nice and get good grades. That's probably the lesson there. From there, I became a stay-at-home mom. When I had first worked at Garmin, I was traveling like 32 to 36 weeks a year, and I had two little kids, so it was quite challenging. And both Gary and Min were very, very family focused, and they understood my struggle. So they understood that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom for a while, and they told me that when I was ready to come back to work, just to let them know. But I ended up staying home for over 10 years and loved every second of it. And then when my kids became a little bit older, which by the way, one's a senior at KU now, and the other graduated in chemical engineering. So, and she actually works at Garmin now. But anyway, my two girls. And then when I was ready to come back to work, I did come back to work, but back in on the engineering side at Garmin, which I love. So I went from being a stay-at-home mom to being responsible for about $2 billion worth of our business on the engineering side, which was really a steep learning curve. And I had to learn very quickly. Talk about being out of your comfort zone. I definitely was. As I worked in engineering, our executive team noticed that when I was presenting a new product concept for approval, that I would always speak in terms of the customer, what the customer wants, what the customer needs, and that really is marketing lingo. Eventually, our current CEO came to me and asked, or thought that I needed to be in marketing for Garmin and start that division on my own. So I really kind of started it from scratch. And when he came to me with that idea, I literally said, I have not ever had a marketing class. I don't even know anything about it. I'm an engineer, if you recall, And he said, I know, you'll be fine. So that's my unique career path. And I really like to share it because it's just kind of a reminder to everyone, certainly in engineering school, just to kind of keep an open mind, follow your strengths. And that's kind of my talk today. And you'll kind of see that that string go through my different things that I've noticed over my career. So just a real quick glance at Garmin. Like I said, to kind of let you know a little bit about my current world, we believe that innovation is our cornerstone. So we were founded in 1989, and we're committed to designing products that fuel people's passions. And that means to us, our mission is to be an enduring company. That means we will be around forever by creating superior products for our 5 different markets. And we want to be an essential part of our customers' lives. So we have 82 office locations around the world, and we have about, now we're over 16,000 associates that work for us, and we're in 33 countries. We have our automotive division, and we sell products for cars, motorcycles, trucks, and RVs. And this is just a glimpse of some of the products that we make, from a portable navigator that goes in the car for those that don't want to use their phone for navigation because they're using their phone for other reasons. We make products for RVs, dash cams, backup cameras, and then we make a lot of products for trucks. We also are a supplier for in-dash systems for BMW, Honda, Ford, and Toyota, and many others. We have our outdoor business, and that is products that we make for hunting and hiking and dog training, multi-sport, so like triathletes, golfing and diving. And this is just a glimpse. We make watches for outdoor adventures. We make golf products. We make an SOS product called InReach, where you can text or send an SOS if you're out of cell phone coverage. So a lot of different kinds of products for the outdoor industry. Fitness, our fitness market, we have products for wellness, swimming, running, cycling, and multi-sport, which is triathlon. And just a glimpse of those products. We make products for little kids. We make like fashionable watches for people that don't want to have it look like it's a smart watch on their wrist. We make cycling products and indoor trainers for like elite cyclists that want to take their expensive bike indoors and train. And of course, we make smart GPS smartwatches that we sell in the mass market. Marine, we make products for boating, sailing, and we make motors and great products for fishing. And this looks like, so we make speakers for boats, watches. We make a product called Live Scope, which is literally seeing the fish underwater. And it's really, really cool, and probably our most popular product in the marine division. We make motors, and then we make all kinds of apps and things to help fishermen catch the most fish without trying quite as hard. Have more fun on the water. Aviation, we cater to many different businesses in aviation with things like our flight instrument, flight deck, even watches in this industry as well, and services. And really, so just to summarize at Garmin, we make products that are engineered on the inside for life on the outside. And we do it so our customers can make the most of the time they spend pursuing their passions. And so just jumping from Garmin into the business side, I like to say the product is everything. And we say that a lot at Garmin. And really what that means is without a product or top-notch process or project that you're offering your customers, you will not grow and survive. You cannot advertise yourself to success. And really, there are many companies that have tried spending a lot of money on advertising, but it does not take the customer very long to figure out that your advertising is maybe better than your product. So product innovation and quality is the key to success. And this is really important, I think, for engineering students like yourselves to hear. While in marketing and advertising, we can make things look great to a customer, it's only going to last so long. But if the product quality is not top notch and what your customers expect, then that is not a good long-term strategy just to try to advertise to success. The definition of a good product is really determined by the customer. And this is important as engineers first come out of school and start developing and working on their own projects. You soon will realize, or it's the sooner the better, that you realize while something might be very high tech and very difficult to develop, that doesn't mean that the most difficult thing, the leading edge technology, is necessarily that interesting to the customer. So that is sort of where I got involved with product management, and then marketing is kind of tying those two things together. So while engineers are working hard on great features and great products, it's really important that what they're working on is actually something that the customer will find useful. Otherwise, there's a disconnect. And while it might be amazing and there might be great papers to be written about great technology, it may not sell more products. And you need to sell more products or projects to stay in business. Superior customer service is critical. And then brand advertising is not the answer. So I feel like a company is only as good as our last product or project launch. And this is really important because I will hear people say that a lot. Well, why are they going to buy the product? Well, it's a Garmin. And that does not work. If you love running an Asics tennis shoes and your running shoes are Asics and you've always used Asics shoes, as soon as you buy a pair that is not up to your standard and maybe didn't serve your purpose, you don't think, well, it's Asics, so I'm going to buy an Asics. You're going to switch brands. You're going to go to New Balance or another running brand, and that's really customers today. I feel like brand loyalty is probably less than it's ever been, and that's fair. I mean, customers just want what the best product is for them, and they really don't care the brand name on it as much as they just want the best product. And then just jumping into what I deem as a successful product launch, like I said, just to kind of give you a little glimpse into the business side of it. Really good press coverage globally. So it's really important that as we launch up to 100 products a year, that we have the press covering it because we call that free advertising or earned media, meaning it's very authentic. The press is reporting really truly what they think about the product, so customers are more likely to believe it than our paid advertising plan. We have clear features and benefits that are exciting and easy to understand. We have strong website traffic and retailer revenue right at launch, meaning customers are excited about the new product, and so they can't wait to be one of the first to buy the new product. And it's important that companies spend on advertising really wisely because it's very expensive. And if you mess up and you have a big advertising campaign that doesn't have a really strong return on your investment, you've wasted that much money, which cuts into the product's profit. And then advertising can be balanced across digital and social, and we have displays in stores, we have influencers, testimonials from people, and then there's trade shows, and then, as I mentioned, media coverage. So that's just kind of a glimpse into what we deem a successful product launch when we're speaking to our customers. So jumping into leadership, I like to say that leaders lead by example. And another way of saying that is servant leadership. We say that a lot at Garmin and in our other, really throughout Garmin, just in all the different departments and divisions. And really that is, no matter what level you are, it's just asking, how can I help? How can I help? Let's work together. How can I help? And that idea sounds very simple, but it really means a lot. It means that if you're an entry level, if you're an individual contributor, or if you're a supervisor, or if you're an executive, it doesn't matter. You care about the company, you care about your coworkers, and you want to know, how can I help? Another way to lead by example is simple. Just say, I'll do it. You don't have to have the answer right there and then as you're speaking to your supervisor or to your teammates, or in a meeting, but just take it on. I'll do it. And then you can take your time, figure it out, bounce your ideas off of others. But to just have that hand raised and that enthusiastic, I'll do it, will go a long way. And really, you will find that you'll be leading by example in no time. Out of your comfort zone. Leaders are always out of their comfort zone. I'm out of my comfort zone talking to a group of student engineers. Everything I do, I'm out of my comfort zone at work, and I encourage everyone that I work with to be out of their comfort zone. Everybody has to just be a little bit uncomfortable to move forward and to learn and to continue to grow personally and professionally. Hard work. I mean, be the one that can always be counted on. I call it, getting an A, but really, if you say you're going to take something on, do it and get it done early and get it done on time and efficiently and all of that good stuff, just like in school. But hard work goes a long way, and that is leading by example. Always be humble. Learning and coaching throughout your career is really, really important. I learn something every single day at work, and I encourage others to coach the achievers that I work with, to coach others, new associates or associates that are just learning new things. And you'll find that even as an individual contributor right out of engineering school, it won't take long. And before you know it, you look around and you've got more seniority and may know more about a project than other employees, other associates that you're working with. So it's good to always be learning and coaching others. And then come with solutions. Help your manager. Don't be afraid of making your manager look good and having them take all the credit. They know, they will quickly learn who they can count on and depend on you if you're coming with solutions. Another slide along this way of business, growing in business, is to simplify complex challenges. I like to call this just keep calm and simplify. So really learn to pause and not overreact. And certainly right out of engineering school in your first job, sometimes it's a little overwhelming. It's hard to even maybe know everyone's names and who does what. It's good to just pause, don't overreact. You have an engineering degree, so you've already been successful throughout your academic career, and not exactly starting over, but there is a little bit of that. And so it's good if you're handed your first project or your first challenge, it's good to just kind of pause, take your time, figure it out, and not overreact. But then we want you to work with urgency. So we call it working with a sense of urgency. And it's really important that when others need you and they're depending on you in your job, they want to know that you will work with urgency and get the job done and exceed actually their expectations. Be eager and willing to take on any task. I still do this to this day. I work on tiny, small tasks because it actually helps me learn. So I don't ask people to put together Excel spreadsheets for me. I actually build them myself. It helps me learn and dig into the numbers. And we all do that throughout our entire company, including our CEO. So no task too big or too small, just be eager and willing to take it on. Again, always be humble, learning and coaching throughout your career. And then be a problem solver. As an engineering graduate, you will have a very unique talent of combination of technology and understanding that, and then communication. And communication is really hard. It doesn't come natural for all of us, especially with engineering degrees. It's something that you need to practice and learn, but it will be the way that you can advance your career and continue to learn throughout your whole career, is that unique combination of technology with communication skills. And so that kind of leads me to the you can be a leader. I believe engineers make excellent leaders. I actually, I'm known at our company to pull people from engineering roles and ask them to work with me in marketing or in sales or project management, other things like that, because that engineering brain of working through problems with that common sense and that intellect that you all have, and the reason why you went into engineering school, it makes great leaders. Great companies must have great individual contributors. So that means that if you want to have a big impact in a company, in your career, it doesn't mean that you have to ditch your engineering degree and move up and be a manager. You can be a great individual contributor for your entire career and be very successful. It's very important for all companies to know that, and they do. They're not going to just take people that are good at their job and put them into management right away if that person doesn't want to manage others. But as I mentioned, individual contributors can grow into effective leaders and make an even greater impact. And by that, I mean that as an individual contributor, you're being a leader with others, as I mentioned. So in the room, you're saying, I'll do it. You're helping others. You're coaching others. That is being a leader. So being an effective leader doesn't necessarily mean that you were promoted to an actual management position. You can be an effective leader and still be an individual contributor. But the more you become an effective leader, the bigger impact that you have throughout the company, because you can only, as an individual contributor, you can only get what you can get done in your 8 to 10 hours a day. But if you are leading others, you can get 7 times as much done, so to speak, as you could do on your own. So that's what I mean by that statement. And the path to leadership isn't always a big step. It's a small step. It's things like I mentioned, say, I'll do it. Get out of your comfort zone. Your company will see that, they will understand it, and they'll start to think, I think this person can handle more than he or she currently has. And so it's small steps that will get you there. And I encourage you all to take them, even though it's a little out of your comfort zone. And then combat the gravity of complacency. And what I mean by this is just, you will hear it as a new employee with the company. You will hear things like from other, maybe more experienced employees. You'll hear things like, I think it's good enough. And, we've always done it that way. We've been pretty successful, and I'm too busy. And so really, if you really try hard to combat that, and not to just go in and be crazy and try to change everything, but be aware of those comments. And when you hear those kinds of things from others, this is kind of the secret to success, maybe the path to be a leader. Don't accept good enough. Don't accept we've always done it that way. If you see an opportunity for improvement, It's nice to talk to your supervisor, your manager about that. And of course, in a nice way, because for sure, as a new employee, you might not know all the history, or you might not know why things are done the way they are. But at the same time, kind of listen for those kind of cues as opportunities of a way that you can maybe help out your department or your group. And then I think effective leaders are great communicators. And I kind of want to leave it at that for a second because, as I mentioned, as an engineering student and as an engineering graduate, generally speaking, we didn't pick engineering because we were great communicators. We were more comfortable with math and science than we were perhaps with English and things and presentations and things like that. But effective leaders are great communicators. So that takes me to, there we go. Communication. And I want to talk about improving your communication skills. And I get it. Like I said, you don't have room in your curriculum necessarily to just randomly take business classes and become a better communicator. But you need to learn to communicate better. And this really takes practice. I know it sounds kind of geeky, but practice writing, practice speaking in front of a mirror, speaking in front of your friends. Our engineering leader, our head of engineering at Garmin, actually to help him become a better communicator. His entire career, when we're at trade shows together, he will walk up to a different booth, a different company, and ask them about their products and communicate with strangers, just to help him improve his verbal communication skills. And I mention that because I think it's really commendable. I think it's really cool. He's had an amazing career. He's the head of engineering at Garmin, but yet he continues to work to improve his verbal communication skills and his social skills every day in every way. Business writing is important. Emails are important. Writing product development plans and things like that is important. And that's not something that engineers necessarily find is their strength. So I just want to, again, note that it is important to be able to improve your communication skills. Perhaps not in a class, but there's books, there's things online on how to improve your business writing. And I would suggest thinking about that. Capitalization, punctuation, and spelling matter in the workplace still. So we've all gotten a little sloppy with text messages and just the ways we quickly communicate with friends now, which is great, and it's efficient for sure. But in a workplace, it still matters. So things like your or your, to or to, then or than. It matters. And it matters because to the person you're communicating, perhaps they're much older than you and maybe old fashioned, but it's hard to think that the person knows what they're talking about completely if there's misspelled words and mispunctuation all throughout their email. So read what you're going to communicate before you send it. And then reread it again. So maybe 3 times read it, even if it's just a quick little email. Check it, make sure that it looks right before you send it. Easy to understand, know your audience. You have an engineering degree. We know you're smart. It's important to know your audience. Don't try to show how smart you are. Simplify is better. If your audience understands what you're saying, I guarantee you it will be a more successful meeting or presentation. Don't show off how much you know with complex explanations and acronyms, but make it as simple as possible for the group. They know you're smart, so now show them that you can communicate. Use exciting visuals when possible. And then be human, show emotion, smile, or show the concern that you have. It's okay to be nervous. People do not mind a nervous speaker at all. It shows that you're human. If you don't show emotion and you're very monotone, if you're bored with the project or the presentation, then your audience probably is too. So be human and show emotion. And then I put this together just because over the years I find myself saying the same things to people that I manage. And I manage people not only in the US, but all over the world. And I find these things are relevant all over the world. So I thought, well, I'll just put it in here and give you guys some free advice. And as I mentioned, I am a mom, so maybe it's the mom in me that just wants to give you guys advice for success. Don't be dramatic. I already mentioned that, but it's sometimes it's hard not to be. Maybe you've worked really hard on a project and you find that it's been canceled, or you work really hard on something and you find that the code isn't working right, and you're up against a deadline. Try to pause and not be dramatic and just focus on the work. Focus on the work and not your title. This is really hard for young people. We get it. It's very exciting to call your parents and tell your friends that you got promoted. But sometimes promotions don't happen with title. They happen with just more responsibility. Like I mentioned, you're becoming a leader in different and small steps. So try not to worry too much about your title and just keep focusing on the work. The title will come. Achievers achieve. Get an A. Look at your first job, just like you do your schoolwork. Work hard, impress, and look at it like you're trying to get an A. Find a mentor, ask questions, and listen. This is really important. And I know other speakers in this series have mentioned that as well, but it really is nice to be able to just have somebody that you can ask questions to. No question is a dumb question. You probably hear that a lot. And it's the same in the workplace. However, you don't want to ask your question maybe in a huge group of people. If you're not comfortable with that, it's maybe more comfortable to ask a question just one-on-one with your mentor. Be patient. Again, it's super fun to be promoted, but be patient. It takes a little while. And I know it's kind of hard to wait and be patient. But I'm sure if you're doing a good job, people are noticing and good things will come. Work with urgency. I know off the top of my head right this minute, all the people that work with urgency that I work with. I know about it because those are my go-to people all day long. I love it when I just email them. They email me right back with, I've got it. I'm on it. I'll take care of it. Everybody knows who those people are. And that is the key to success. Have fun and smile. I always say we all have to work. We might as well make it fun. Smile, get to know your coworkers, do things outside of the workplace with them, and it will make work more fun, I promise. Job hopping isn't always the best decision. Like I mentioned, be patient. If you're not getting that promotion or not getting that additional experience, there are different things that you can do, and you can talk to your supervisor about it, but job hopping isn't always the best idea. But sometimes it is necessary to leave a company if it's not a good fit for you. But what can happen if you job hop a lot in your career is that you can become overpriced. And so what can happen is with each job change, you may get a raise, you get more money. But if you do that often, midway through your career, there is a possibility that you might be overpriced for actually the experience and the job that you're doing with your company. So job hopping isn't always as good as it might seem. Let's see if and then don't burn bridges. This is really, you've probably always heard that, but how this is in a workplace is that when people leave a company, somehow they kind of feel obligated to let people know how things should have been different and how things just weren't quite right at your company. And it is tempting and it's fine. But there is a slim chance that you might want to return to that company again, or you might work with your current coworkers in another company. So be very careful not to burn bridges and if you do leave your company. And then lastly, leadership may be smarter than you think. And I say this because as a new engineer, it's easy and we all do it. We all think why are they doing this? Don't they see this great opportunity? Or don't they see how great this project is? Or we should be doing this instead of that. And you might be right. I mean, you absolutely might be right, but there is a chance that your leadership team may know a little bit more than you do when you've only been out of school for a year or two. Maybe they know something about finances. Maybe there's an acquisition going on you don't know about. There could be a lot of different things that maybe you don't know about, that are the reason why the leadership team is making the decisions they're making. And then lastly, I just wanted to touch on our intern program, and just to mention it that we recruit in the fall, so like September timeframe, job fairs on campus, and we take on a couple hundred, sometimes several hundred engineering interns that help us work in Olathe, where we're headquartered. And so the goal is to provide invaluable experience to our interns to build the pipeline of future full-time talent for Garmin. And the majority of our interns do end up converting to full-time employees after graduation. And it's our primary source for future full-time engineering talent through our intern program. And then I won't go through this, but these are just our benefits of being a Garmin intern, engineering intern. Just things like discounts on our products and waived fees for races. And we don't have a dress code. We're pretty casual. We have lots of social events and fun things. And we like to say probably what every company says. We just think we're full of great people and it's super fun and all of those good things. But I did want to leave you with that information just in case you are interested in eventually working for Garmin. And that's all the material that I had, but I did want to open it up to questions.
All right. Thank you very much, Susan. That was great. We've got some questions here, and we welcome any additional questions that may come in. If discussion prompts something in your mind, so please use the chat. So what I've got a couple of questions here dealing with getting started for a new graduate. And so the first question, just a basic question: what does Garmin expect from a brand new graduate?
So it depends on the exact position. So like a software new graduate would have a different role than electrical or mechanical engineer. But generally speaking, they work with a mentor. We right away, you have a mentor assigned, and I'm sure this is the same throughout all companies with new engineering graduates. So it's really important and to work with a mentor. So we don't just put you in a room and say, go get it, do work. So there's quite a bit of training. First, there's just common Garmin training, things like where the conference rooms are, what the organization looks like, what the expectation is, all of those good things. And then you'll be assigned to an office or a cubicle, depending on the position. And then you will work with your mentor and your supervisor on your specific job at hand. And most of our groups, it is a group effort where you work together as a team, and different parts of the team have different assignments, and also different, as you could see in the different businesses that we have. An engineer that's working in our fitness division may have a different job or a different task than an engineer that's working in our marine division. Mm-hmm. Generally, we try to assign people based on their interests because we love it when golfers are working on golf products and runners are working on running products, but it doesn't always work out that way.
That's pretty cool. Okay. You have been with big established companies, Allied Signal, and with a small startup company since you joined Garmin very early on. A small startup company that grew very fast. Which type of company is better to join as a freshly graduated engineer, or does it make a difference?
I would say it doesn't make a difference because even big established companies are broken down into smaller departments and then smaller working groups. And so I don't really think it matters. You can make a big impact in a small company, for sure. And you can make a big impact in a larger company just within your own department. So I would say it really doesn't matter. The thing about really small startup companies is you sort of become a jack of all trades. And a lot of people love that. They love being the hands-on person and then also the person that's talking and communicating to maybe the customers. So it kind of depends on what your interest level is. Really large companies have more of like an assigned career path where, first you're an engineer one and you do that for so many years, and then you're an engineer two and things like that. Whereas a startup company is kind of like, we need all the help we can get in any way that you can help. So it might depend on personality, but I'd say either way is a great start.
Okay. Family and job. So early on, you talked about family job stuff. So you had a great experience with a company working with you on your need to step away from the company for family. Okay. Did you actually specifically look for that when you joined Garmin? And is company attitude towards family something you can determine before you join a company? And how would you go about that?
It's not something that I was looking for. I thought I was going to work forever. You work hard in your engineering degree and you just think, gosh, I have to use this degree for sure. And it's also a little scary to quit. What if I can't get a job again? So it definitely wasn't something that I was planning or looking into. But when I was balancing two kids and again, Garmin at that time was a startup company. So not only was I in sales, but I was traveling with our founders really to get any kind of job, any business that we could drum up. We were traveling all the time. And then my husband was also traveling all the time and working. So, I mentioned that Garmin gave me the opportunity to stay at home. They didn't have to hire me back in though. And I feel so fortunate that they did. Because the whole time I was at home, I did not work as an engineer. I did not do any work out other than be a stay-at-home mom. So I'm really fortunate that they hired me back in. I think you will be able to tell during your interview process if a company is family oriented and family minded, work-life balance. I don't think you necessarily need to ask it. I think you can. If you can't detect it from your HR contact in the company that you interview with, most likely you'll interview with another engineer or somebody that's similar to the job that you're interviewing for. And you'll be able to just tell by their comments about like how many hours they're working and things like that. And again, startup company, it could be that you maybe end up working more hours at the beginning as the company's trying to get off the ground, and then maybe it levels out. But when you're young and you're right out of school, that's when you have the energy and the time to do so. So I probably don't think that you need to ask that specifically in your interviewing process, and I probably would recommend it against it because it could come off as a little, like I care more about my personal life than I do about working. In an interview, you certainly want your interviewer to know how you are going to be a hard worker and you take your job seriously. So that's probably advice again, but I think you'll be able to tell in the interview process how family minded they are.
Okay. All right. So now a little bit more about what you specifically do. So advertising, not something engineers generally are involved in. So are you, when you're doing advertise or your marketing stuff, are you buying and approving TV commercials? What is it like working with the TV advertising industry? How do you know if advertising works? How important is social media in advertising?
Yes. So because I'm an engineering degree, I look at it really mathematical. I love numbers. I love the stats, the analytics. So Garmin is vertically integrated. And what vertically integrated means is that it's all Garmin employees doing all the work. And so everything from our manufacturing, like all the people that work on our manufacturing line they are Garmin employees. All of our advertising, so the people that are shooting the commercials and creating all of the creative stuff, they are Garmin employees. And so I have people that work for me that buy the TV media. So they'll work with ESPN or work directly with NBC or whoever it is to buy the TV buys. And then we have made the commercial and then we give it to the company that places the commercial. What we have found over the years, and things have changed fast, is that if you're advertising on TV, there's a lot of waste because everybody, first of all, it's very, very expensive. And you're advertising to a lot of people that are not in market, meaning they're never, ever going to buy a Garmin product. So we lean more on digital advertising where it's really direct advertising. So we can see your habits on the web and we can serve an ad up. We know you've signed up for your first 5K or your half marathon. So we know that if we show you a running watch, there's more chance that that's going to be a successful advertisement. And so those advertisements I can see directly. If you click that advertisement and you come to Garmin.com and buy a product, that's called return on investment. So I can see that for every dollar I spend, I'm making $20 on you. That's gold, right? So if we do a great job, I wouldn't want to advertise our boat products to people that don't own a boat. But your habits on the web tell me that you probably own a boat or you're thinking about buying a boat. So then I'll serve you a marine product advertisement. So we find that is a lot more successful in advertising and a lot more efficient way of spending money than TV ads, but we still do TV ads for some of our mass market products.
Okay. Product development. Where do ideas for new products come from? And how does a product go from an idea to an actual product at Garmin? And when do you get involved in the process?
Yeah, that's a great question. Our ideas come from our employees, our engineers, and product managers as well. And so the way it works is, some products are what we call evolutionary, meaning it's just the next generation of the product. And then some are revolutionary, right? It's a brand new product and a brand new market serving a whole different purpose. So in both cases, the ideas come from the engineers, the development engineers. And the way it works is they first put together, working with their leadership team, a product concept. And that product concept is kind of why are we making this product? What is the customer benefit? And then how much is it going to cost of, development to make the product? And then how much revenue are we expected to get out of the product? And so that's not a huge, 50-page document. It's like a 2-page document. And a lot of work goes into it to get down to 2 pages or 3 pages. And then that is presented to a small part of the executive team that I serve on. And we listen to those product concepts and approve them or don't approve them. And if they are approved, then that engineer and engineering team goes back to work to create the product development plan. And that is a more complex document. It goes into details of how many hours each engineer and each engineering group needs, all kinds of things about what suppliers we will use for our electronic components, the cost of the product to make, just all kinds of details. Good hard work goes into the product development piece. And then that again is presented to the same executive team, and we either approve it, or at that point we usually don't just not approve it because there's so much work that has been going into it. We either approve it or suggest changes, and then the changes are incorporated, and then we have an approved product. And once we have an approved product concept and product development plan, then the hard work starts with prototyping and pilot runs and production manufacturing. And that whole process can take between 18 months to 3 years from the beginning of product concept all the way to having a product on shelf.
Cool. Okay. Um, Additional education. How important is a graduate degree, and is an MBA or a Master of Science degree more important?
It just depends on what you're interested in doing. A lot of our engineers that they have masters in engineering, in something more specific, and that's great. It really just depends on your interest level. If you're done with college or you want to continue to learn more in the academic setting, MBA. It really, again, depends on your interest. I don't have an MBA. I have half of one. I started down that path and then got busy with family and everything else that was going on, and I didn't finish it. So for sure, it's not necessary to absolutely become successful in the business side of a company. But if it's interesting to you and you continue to love to learn, then I think that's great too. So it's really up to you. I would say not having a master's or a graduate degree doesn't limit someone's career path to success, at least at the companies I've served. There could be other companies with other requirements, but at least in the companies that I worked in, it hasn't been required.
Okay. Early on, you talked about jumping to Garmin, and you mentioned going to work on commission. This is something that many engineers have never really thought about, probably freaks out a lot of engineers. So could you talk a little bit about what that jump is like and why people should or shouldn't be afraid of that kind of jump?
Yes. And I'm an achiever. I bet almost everybody on this line is an achiever. So it was so funny because um, it really was like continuing to achieve, but instead of getting the A, you got like a bonus for selling something. So I was at that time when I made that jump, I was a second income in my house because I was married. And so it was less risky. And the way it worked is it was kind of a negotiation. So at first, when I made that transition into sales, I had a base salary with just kind of a small bonus. And then the more experienced I got and the better I got to be a technical, an engineering salesperson, the more I would negotiate less salary with a bigger commission side, because it's a risk for sure, because if you don't sell, then you would, your salary would be less all the way. But I loved it. I loved the challenge. I loved the feeling of getting the sale. And like I said, I thought I would never leave that environment. It was high pay, it was high pressure. We worked super hard, but we had a lot of fun. Like I said, it's kind of a unique career path, but I wanted to mention it because as engineering students, you've already been good students, I'm sure, in high school and in college. And so I felt like it was fun to have that challenge. And I think you can stay in engineering and still have incredible challenges and sort of that feeling of getting an A. So you don't have to go all the way as crazy as I did to commission sales. But I just think it's kind of fun to work towards something and then get rewarded for it.
All right. One more question, an international question. So your Garmin is an American-based company, but you have international operations. So you're working in lots of different cultures, lots of different people groups. So are your international offices okay? Are your international offices staffed with Americans or local personnel? I assume you have some local personnel. So how does Garmin deal with differences between American culture and the variety of international cultures you interact with? And I would add to that, you probably have to advertise in these international cultures. So how does that interaction work?
Yeah, it's a great question. So yes, actually, most of my job is, I call it world peace. I like to get all the countries, everybody to agree on the same thing. So all of our advertising, all of the creative work that we do in Olathe, we push out globally and translate it into 26 languages. So on the day that we announce a new product, we go live on Garmin.com in 26 different languages right at the same time all over the world. So if you're in Taipei, and you see a billboard in Taipei City, it will be the same billboard that you would see in Chicago but just translated into Chinese. So it's really, that's actually what I have done in my career at Garmin, and is take what we do in Olathe and then turn it into the global direction. Our offices all over the world are only staffed with local people. We require that the leaders speak English. They're fluent in English and they communicate with us in English, although we have a lot of multilingual people throughout our company. And I travel a lot for my current role. I spend a lot of time in Europe. Prior to the pandemic, I was going to Europe usually once a month, and then to Asia 2 to 3 times a year. And those meetings are just to get everyone aligned, to understand their needs, to visit stores, to visit customers, to understand, their challenges that are always quite different than other countries. Because the better that you understand that, the better that we can do our jobs. And so we just have so many great people all over the world, and we're all working towards the same goals. And we're all very aligned, but it's a lot of phone calls, a lot of meetings and conversations to make sure that we stay that way. But I love it. It's one of my favorite parts.
That's great. All right. Well, it's 5 o'clock. It's been a great hour. Thank you. Thank you, Susan, for joining us and sharing with us. We really appreciate that, and the wisdom you've shared with us. For those of you watching, this will be made available as a recording. The link that was sent out by the School of Engineering earlier, you can access that and get the recording through Zoom. In a few days, it will be posted on the School of Engineering webpage or YouTube page, so you can also see it through YouTube. With that, I want to thank Susan again, and thank the School of Engineering for hosting this, and thank everybody for attending. We appreciate your participation. Have a great semester, and we hope to see you again soon. Thank you,
so
everyone.
much. Thank you.